We have ourselves a showdown later today, and because the Canucks are playing off at 7 p.m. PST, that's why I wanted to make this video now, just to, give it some time to breathe before the game actually begins, because we had ourselves a bunch of news revolving around the Vancouver Canucks within the past 48 hours or so, and I wanted to make just one video compiling everything that you need to know that is going on in Canuckland. Starting out with tonight's game, we have ourselves all three Hughes brothers setting to play against each other in the same NHL game for the first time. It is the Hughes versus Hughes and Hughes showdown. Quinn has 34 points in 25 games played, Jack has 30 points in 17 games, and Luke has 14 points in 22 games played. Each of these guys are doing great, but this actually isn't related at all to any of the stories I wanted to talk about in this video. Today what I wanted to do was go over Elias Pettersson, I wanted to talk about Ethan Bear, talk about Hunter Brzustewicz, and just go over some of the discourse surrounding each of these three guys. Starting out with Elias Pettersson. Everybody recognizes what's going on with Petey right now. 25 years old, 7.35 mil, he is expiring at the end of the season, and he's got 32 points in 25 games played, which is a pretty good point production pace. I mean, he's on pace to break his career high in terms of assists and total points, but everybody knows that Elias Pettersson had himself a little bit of a hesitation to sign a contract extension earlier in the offseason. He's been slumping a little bit, but we did have ourselves some updates from Elliotte Friedman. This is what he had said on the Saturday night headlines. Friedman says that Alvin and Elias Pettersson met face-to-face this past road trip. Alvin asked Elias Pettersson how things are going, what's been going on, and reiterated that when he is ready, the Canucks would love to extend him. So there you go. Patrick Alvin, Vancouver Canucks GM, pretty much extending the invitation, saying, hey, no rush. We understand that you had your processes, you had your doubts, you wanted to make sure that Vancouver was the right city for you to place your future within. So as long as you feel comfortable to talk about extending, we would love to go out there and have that conversation with you. And Alvin went out there and pretty much checked in, said that that was the case. Good on him for assuring to the Vancouver Canucks superstar that there is a spot open for him long term. We also had ourselves yesterday Elliotte Friedman make an appearance on Donnie and Dolly, pretty much verifying what it is that he learned about that situation. Here's Elliotte Friedman talking about Alvin meeting with Pettersson. It was a general check-in meeting to see if everything was alright. Alvin reiterated they're committed to sign him, and they're ready to talk whenever he is. So, pretty much the same sentiment going out there. Elias Pettersson, big contract update. Alvin has gone out there and opened the door to an extension, so at this point it pretty much feels like the only time we're going to get an Elias Pettersson extension is when Pettersson himself is open and available to it. He's not going to rush into this, the Vancouver Canucks are not going to force him into this, the Canucks are open. Whenever PD is ready, they're going to get that contract signing done. So that is a pretty positive piece of news in Canuckland. Also, when it comes to the Vancouver Canucks potentially signing players, there is an extended conversation to have about one Ethan Bear. Now, we did talk about Ethan Bear a few days ago in the Patrick Alvin is still hungry video, going over how the team might go after Bear and Chris Tanev, but Ethan Bear, 26 years old, right-handed defenseman, a pretty good player. Like, admittedly, he had himself a pretty bad injury setback, but when this guy's healthy, when this guy's ready, he is better than Juleson, he is better than Friedman. He would add some very significant depth to this Canucks blue line. 16 points in 61 games played last year, but you don't even really get Ethan Bear because you want significant point production. He's just a really good defenseman all around. This is the update from Elliotte Friedman on Ethan Bear. Lots of teams have reached out, but Vancouver is high on his list. The Canucks are probably the team to beat in regards to signing Bear. Now, we did have ourselves a few notes from earlier last week after the Canucks made the Zadorov trade. People were saying, hey, Ethan Bear is still going out there and practicing with his Canucks gear. There's probably not much bad blood there. Like, you could debate, oh, because the Canucks grabbed a guy who's a right-handed defenseman in Nikita Zadorov, it will make Ethan Bear less inclined to wanting to sign here. It's an idea that makes sense when you put it to paper like that, but at the end of the day, it's very apparent that even though the Canucks made that Zadorov trade, Ethan Bear is still an option. It's quite apparent that he would still want to come to Vancouver, and all the insider updates go out there and say that, hey, Vancouver is pretty much in the mix here. They're the #1 team. So if Bear signs a contract with anybody else, like 2 weeks from now, I honestly would be pretty surprised. Especially considering all that we're hearing about how he would like to come back. He already said in the media a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, towards the beginning of the season, that he would have liked to come back. It's just the injuries really slowed him down, which is why he didn't sign with anybody. So Ethan Bear, probably going to be signed. Elias Pettersson, probably going to be signed. We had ourselves one more conversation that I wanted to go over in this video, and it's a pretty bad one. It involves Vancouver Canucks defenseman prospect Hunter Brzustewicz. Now, we've been making a bunch of videos about Brzustewicz the entire season. He has been dominating the OHL. 46 points, 28 games played, 19-year-old right-handed defenseman. This is a prospect taken by Vancouver in the 2023 draft in the 3rd round, and he's playing so much better than a regular 3rd-round pick probably should be playing. He's on pace for 112 points in 68 games played, and because he has been so dominant with the OHL's Kitchener Rangers, a lot of Canucks fans are saying, hey, it's inevitable, it's about time before this guy gets called up to the World Juniors and he displays his talent on the international stage. But the problem with that is that Hunter Brzustewicz ended up not making the USA team for the World Juniors. He was snubbed. Take a look at the reply here. The Americans got their power play guys in Lane Hudson and Seamus Casey. All 10 defensemen invited to camp were from the NCAA. And this has sparked an even bigger conversation as to how the US team may have a very obvious preference towards players who go their own development route and actively try to punish guys who don't. Hunter Brzustewicz was an NCAA committee before, or at least he had the option to be. He was playing with the NTDP back in 21-22 before yeeting over to Canada and playing in the OHL. One may very well hypothesize that had Brzustewicz stayed in America, had he played in the NCAA instead of the OHL, and had he still been as good, maybe there would have been a very likely outcome that sees him playing for the US World Junior team. They don't take guys who don't play in the US. They always take NCAA committees or NTDP guys in general. Here is what some of the analysts are going out there and saying. Craig Button talked about Hunter Brzustewicz being left off of that USA roster. There are not 10 better defensemen than Hunter. That is a real slight. You had J.D. Burke going out there and saying the thing about Hunter Brzustewicz not even making Team USA's preliminary World Juniors roster is that you don't even have to overthink this one for a second. I think we all know why he isn't there. And all the replies go out there and say the same thing. It's because USA Hockey punishes players who don't go through their own system. Finally, you had yourselves devil's advocate point of view. Cam Robinson says, I know everyone is surprised that Hunter Brzustewicz was left off the World Junior roster. The points are there, but if you watch, he's not generating them through elite tools or skating. He's clearly behind Lane Hudson, Seamus Casey, and Buium for offensive minutes. There's just no role for him. Now, Cam later clarifies, just so we're all clear, I would have invited to camp, but I can at least understand a rationale for not. Here's a reply. Patrick Geary, with all due respect, got an invitation to selection camp. Surely there was room for Hunter Brzustewicz. And that is fair. Has nothing to do with his move to the CHL. It very likely hurt his case as well. So here we have ourselves a Vancouver Canucks prospect who has been so good, who has definitely been good enough to play for Team USA at the World Juniors, getting snubbed from the team, most probably because he is a guy that didn't want to go down their own development path. The NCAA is the main standard golden path for a lot of USA hockey players, so for a guy to go out there and break free from that, play in the OHL instead, same could be said about Quentin Musty, who had himself a very similar path. He was not making the World Junior roster either. He's playing in the OHL. American guy, he was doing his thing in the North Jersey Buffalo system before going over to Canada. Same thing here. they didn't take him. He was playing in Canada, so I didn't want to see him. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below about these 3 Vancouver Canucks stories. Elias Pettersson, probably going to get signed soon whenever he wants to. Ethan Bear, Vancouver is the team to beat. Hunter Brzustewicz, no goal here for the USA World Junior squad. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.